Pero 90 years.
And it's 4 p.m. We're bringing you the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Story Conference or Storycon. And here are the headlines. It's Tuesday, March 12. Pastor Apollo Quiboloy has been cited in contempt again, this time by the House of Representatives. Quiboloy was a no-show during a House Committee's hearing on the proposed revocation of SMNI's franchise. Quiboloy was first cited in contempt by the committee of Senator Risa Ontiveros. Meantime, VP Sara Duterte has come to the defense of Apollo Quiboloy, saying the investigation against the pastor is, and we quote, unfair and violent. She also claimed that Quiboloy was deprived of due process. The preacher is facing both Senate and House inquiries for supposed violations and abuses in his ministry and the broadcast arm SMNI. And filmmaker Jade Castro and his peers have been released on Monday night. Castro, Ernesto Orsine, Noel Mariano, and Dominic Ramos were accused of burning a modern jeepney in Catanawan town in Quezon on February 1st. Their legal team, however, presented CCTV footage that showed the group were in Mulanay town at the time of the incident. And let's talk about these developing stories with our guest this afternoon, former presidential political advisor, we prefer to call him Tito, Ronald Llamas. Tito Ronald.
Good afternoon, Ed.
Tito Ed.
Tito Ed.
Ano malaking story ngayon? Mukhang Quiboloy pa rin eh.
Mukhang very important itong statement ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Dahil kung imo-monitor ng ating mga tigapanood, yung almost a week of demonstration sa Liwasang Bonifacio, ang sinisigaw doon ay at the minimum, Marcos resign, at the maximum, ibagsak si Marcos. No? So, sana ay naging mas circumspect yung ating Vice President dahil boss niya si President Bongbong Marcos eh. At kung publicly susuportahan niya si Quiboloy, who himself is calling for the resignation or ouster of President Bongbong, sabi niya, pamumunuan niya. Diba? At si President Bongbong at saka si First Lady ay gusto siyang kunin through rendition, no? At agawin ang kanyang kayamanan na sa ngayon ay nag-administer na ay yung tatay ni Vice President. No? Baka mas maganda na hindi muna nagsalita si Vice President Sara Duterte. Lalo na siya ay Secretary of Education. At yung mga alleged cases against Quiboloy, the son of God, ay...
The appointed.
The appointed son of God. Appointed, anointed? Appointed son of God, no?
Kasi we are all sons of God, pero he's appointed.
Okay. So may papeles yun. May ginawa yung si God. No?
Bakit naman ang CA?
So, si appointed son of God ay may kaso sa US na inansil na yung kanyang kaso ng human trafficking against women, human trafficking against children, no, rape, at saka money laundering, etc. At sa ngayon, sisimula na yung kaso ng Department of Justice. At meron na siyang contempt case sa Senate at saka sa House. So, parang hindi maganda na yung Secretary of Education na minumulat yung ating kabataan ay susuportahan yung isang alleged pedophile, rapist, human trafficker of women and children So medyo hindi maganda.
With emphasis on alleged.
Yes.
These are all
At ang sinasabi nga ni
allegations.
Vice President ay walang due process. Yung due process nga yung pagpunta niya sa korte. No? Ayaw naman niya dumalo sa korte, so walang process. Ayaw niya dumalo sa House at saka sa Senate, so walang process. No? So, yun nga yung habol ng House at saka ng Senate, yun ang habol ng FBI sa US, yun ang habol malamang ng DOJ na siya ay humarap sa due process. Yun nga ang baka kinakailangan pag-aralang maigi ni Vice President Sara Duterte yung mga legal implication ng kanyang sinasabi.
Okay, Tito Ronald, let me just show you what came out on philstar.com. Sara Duterte says Quiboloy being unfairly targeted. She has come to the defense of her father's spiritual advisor, Quiboloy, downplaying the sexual abuse and trafficking charges against him by describing the... Teka, hindi pa pala na-load.
As trial by publicity.
May mga mo, ha? Anyway, medyo bagal ang internet. Anyway, but I suppose you've been monitoring the developments dun sa Liwasang Bonifacio, yung rallies,
pa-intense.
Daily ba yan?
Pa-intense, no? At medyo nadadagdagan ng konti. So, hindi ko alam kung ano endgame niyan. No, saan ba dadali niyan? Dahil ang sinisigaw na nila is ouster hindi na nga resignation Tapos yung mga dating spokesperson ni Digong nandun, si Harry Roque, si Panelo yung agitator doon.
I was watching the link you sent me. Si Sal Panelo was shouting ibagsak, matatapos na. Ganun.
Wawakasan na. Pero
hindi niya tinutuloy.
Yung mga tao,
ang tumutuloy mga tao.
Yung mga taong sumisigaw, BBM, no, ganyan. Pero si Sal Panelo, being a lawyer, ay umiiwas. Baka makasuhan siya ng sedition
No? So siya lang yung
siya yung nag-agitate, no? Pero ang makukulong, yung mga sumisigaw.
But is that, in any way, of course, we're not lawyers, but is that inciting to sedition? Hindi naman.
Depende. Paano kung ouster kasi? No? Kung ouster, no? Hindi na resignation, medyo borderline na yun.
Kasi anybody is free to call for the resignation of anybody.
Yeah.
That's part of freedom of expression
Yes.
Pero to...
pag ouster, paano yun seditious na yun, at saka pwedeng, lalo na, pag hiningi mo sa mga military na maglunsad ng mutiny, that's clearly sedition.
So,
no? Actually, secession is sedition.
Yeah, that's true.
Yan yung
Anyway, ito, lumabas na. Okay. Describing the congressional probes into his actions as a form of unfair and violent targeting by accusers. It's in a statement posted on Sunshine, on SMNI page Monday night. Duterte said Quiboloy has been deprived of due process and has seemingly been handed a guilty verdict in the hearings conducted in Congress. Okay.
Medyo weird lang dahil iniimbitahan nga si Quiboloy doon sa process para magkaroon ng due.
I'm sure you've seen yung 17 conditions. But let's just qualify, yung 17 conditions we as of right now, we do not have any formal confirmation yet from the Quiboloy camp that these are conditions set by Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. Apparently, and this is what we've gathered so far, Quiboloy met with a group of vloggers in Davao City, including among others
ex-President Digong.
Tsaka si Trixie Angeles,
Banatbay,
and several other local vloggers.
Yes.
Yung naglabas ng 17 conditions are, I think, some of the vloggers. Not all. Some of the vloggers.
Medyo marami.
So we do not have official confirmation of these conditions as they are.
Yeah. Pero pwede mo bang alam mo, no? Dahil marami, 17
Oo.
Bakit hindi 10 o 12?
Magic number 7 so siguro kailangan dagdagan ng 7. But interestingly, we've gone through some of the conditions yesterday. Among them, he wants no time limit sa kanyang pagsagot, no time limit sa kanyang pagtanong, at siya'y magtatanong. Pati yung chairperson, tatanungin niya. At he reserves the right to choose what questions he wants to answer. That's only as far as yung alleged 17 conditions. We do not know nga if these are really conditions set by Pastor Quiboloy. But this is, ito yung pinagreakan na ng maraming senador.
Pwede natin talakayin yan pag na-formalize na. Kung yan nga, baka mamaya disinformation lang yan, tapos tatalakayin natin, medyo disservice naman.
Let's bring in Attorney Ferdinand Tapasio, one of the lawyers of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. Baka he can confirm with us kung ano talaga ito. Sir, magandang hapon and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, Sir Ed, Sec Ronald, Edwin, magandang hapon po at mabuhay po kayo.
Medyo mahina.
Sir, nagchachapi kayo, sir.
Medyo mahina.
Subukan na rin natin. Sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you
Yan.
hear me?
Better.
Yan.
Better, sir. Sir,
Opo, ulitin ko po yung ating bati sa inyo.
Yes, sir.
Sir Ed, Sec Ronald, at saka Doc Edwin. Magandang hapon po at mabuhay po kayo at lahat ng ugat sa inyong katawan.
Ay,
Magandang hapon,
Magandang
Attorney. No? Yung kalahati ng ugat ko, hindi na ganun kaganda eh. No? Kamusta ba? Long time no see yan.
Matotrouble tayo.
Hindi na kita nakikita ngayon sa sa ating Sunday group.
Pasensya na po kayo. Katatapos lang po nung House Committee hearing doon sa prangkisa ng SMNI. At tayo po ay naroon kanina at hindi po tayo makasagot ng telepono.
We understand, sir. Kamusta yung hearing na yan? Ito yung na-contempt, balita ko, na-contempt din sa House si Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.
Opo, pero sa pakiusap po natin sa komite, sa pangunguna ni Chairman Gaston Bunting, ay na-defer naman po yung implementation until Friday po.
What does that mean, sir? Does that mean that Pastor Quiboloy is going to attend the House hearing?
Ang ibig ko sabihin ay hindi na po siya ipa-arresto muna at titignan po natin kung anong maganda para bibigyan natin siya ng payo kung anong kanyang mga rights under the law at anong kanyang mga options.
Hanggang Friday yung deadline, Attorney.
Opo.
So you have until Friday to decide whether or not to attend. In other words, there is no commitment either way if you are or if he is or is not.
I will have to talk to him and then we will have to discuss the matter very thoroughly.
Pero Attorney, between the House and the Senate subpoenas, is there anyone that is more that you are more partial to attending or having him attend, or pareho sila na hindi ka?
Sir, yung sa Senate po yata, iba ng sitwasyon. Meron yata, I don't know kung ano naging development, I was not able to monitor. But if I am not mistaken, today is the last day to receive the warrant.
Nakakuha ba, Attorney, ng 8 votes si Senator Robin Hood Padilla para i-quash yung contempt sa Senate?
Yun po hindi ko alam kasabagkat sa Senado po, si Pastor is being represented by Attorney Elvis Balayan. I can give you his number po. He may be in a better position to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Sir, one more, sir. Medyo bubukuto ka ng konti. Kasi I'm sure you've heard about this. May lumalabas na 17 raw na conditions. Allegedly, again, I have to emphasize, allegedly set
para sa
by
pagharap.
Pastor Quiboloy para sa kanyang pagharap sa Senado. Again, allegedly. Do we have already confirmation whether or not that was that was to begin with coming from Pastor Quiboloy?
Ay, naku, alam niyo po, nag-overreact lang po yung girlfriend ni Secretary Ronald dyan sa balitang yan. Fake news naman po yan Wala pong ganung kondisyon. We have not officially relayed any conditions. We don't impose on the Senate. Kami po naman ay we just act according to what the law provides us in the matter of rights.
So, Attorney, walang 17 conditions?
Wala po. Medyo, sabi ko nga po, bago sana nag-react si Senator Risa, ay na-confirm niya muna na talagang meron. Sapagkat wala pong mahahanap na kami ay officially nag-communicate sa Senate. Because the Senate, of course, is bound by formal rules of procedure.
Yes, sir.
Ito ay may kasulatan, may protocol kung paano nag-communicate. Wala po kaming ganung komunikasyon po sa Senado. None at all.
Yes, sir. Pero sir, what we also understood was nakipagkita raw si Pastor Quiboloy with several vloggers, including among them si Trixie Angeles, si Banat Bay, and several other vloggers. And some of these vloggers daw, yung source ng 17 conditions yun. Is it possible at all that si Pastor Quiboloy laid out these conditions to the vloggers for him to attend, but he has not yet, for example, informed officially his legal team?
Well, hindi naman po pwede rin yun. I mean, kung vlog yun, that is unofficial, the Senate cannot take cognizance of that. In fact, For all we know, Pastor Quiboloy might just be, was just being sarcastic.
That's also a possibility. Because nothing has been made formal.
Otherwise po, kung talagang yan ang i-impose namin, matagal na po namin ipinadala yan. Formally relayed to the Senate by means of a written request signed by the lawyer. Wala naman po ganun.
So, nanggaling yan, Ed, sa mga vloggers?
Sa mga vloggers.
Opo.
Sa social media. Sir, if you don't mind, I'll just run some of the supposed conditions with you and tell me what you think of them. These supposed conditions. Again, I emphasize supposed
Pero
conditions.
wala nga daw basehan So,
Okay, but I also want to get the attorney's sense of what these conditions, supposed conditions sound like. Whether they were to begin with unreasonable, parang baka naman talagang sarcasm. For example, sir, supposedly ang gusto ni Pastor Quiboloy na wala siyang time limit in answering and even no time limit in asking his own questions, not only of witnesses in the Senate but also of the chairperson herself, Senator Risa Ontiveros. So marami nabigla doon na may supposedly, again, I emphasize supposedly, may ganun. Does that, from your perspective as a lawyer, would that be a reasonable condition, if at all?
Hindi po namin diniscuss yan. So this leads me to believe na hindi po seryoso yan. Kasi otherwise, we would have advised him accordingly. At meron pa daw, sa nababalitaan ko, meron pa daw dapat 5-star hotel.
Yes, sir.
Park ng aeroplano. Hindi naman po kailangan na ni Pastor yan. May sarili naman po siyang hangar. Yung tutuluyan naman po, may mga tutuluyan naman siya rito sa Maynila kung sakasakali. So, it's so exaggerated as to evince the intention that it is not serious. At that it is tongue-in-cheek.
Okay. So possibly it's tongue-in-cheek. But sir, have you been able to talk to Pastor lately? Today, yesterday, or the other day? Any communication from the pastor?
Bukas po, mag-uusap po kami. Magre-report po ako dito sa panigabong mga developments dito po sa House.
Attorney, on a different note, yung rally sa Liwasan, paano ano bang endgame nun? Dahil sumisigaw na yung mga speakers, katulad ni Sal Panelo, ng ibagsak No, yung presidente. Saan ba papunta yun?
I was there last night. Wala naman pong sinasabing ibagsak yung presidente. Ang narinig ko naman ay itakwil at korupsyon. Merong mga patikos laban kay Speaker. May patikos laban sa House Committee. Pero all of those are within the bounds of the freedom of expression guaranteed to every citizen by our Constitution.
Well, attorney, we were talking about it nga kanina. Very careful si Sal Panelo. Pag sinabi niyan tapusin na, hindi tinutuloy kung ano yung tatapusin.
Yung audience
tumatapos. Tapos later on, sabi ni Sal Panelo, oo nga, sir.
Wakasan.
Siguro pa siyang matapos, di ba? Kaya nag-iingat din siya.
Sabi niya, wakasan. Di ba?
Ang korupsyon. Ang hindi niya wakasan ang korupsyon.
Hindi naman po criminal offense yung mga ganong mga matalhaga na mga pahiwatig.
So yung original statement ni Son of God Quiboloy, yung original ay walang kanyon. Yung sabi niya, pamumunuan niya ang kilusan labang kay Bongbong Marcos. Hindi ito yon yung rally na ito.
That may be. Yung laban naman yun, it could mean a lot of things. Laban sa perceived corruption, perceived mismanagement of government, or inefficiency, or inflation. So, lahat naman po tayo. Pwede naman tayong gumawa ng kahit anong kilisan for or against any person, especially a public official.
Well, attorney, so if you're meeting Apollo Quiboloy tomorrow, we hope that you can also ask him for more details about his reaction, for example, to these so-called conditions. If we can get back to attorney tomorrow.
Medyo marami, 17. Hindi, pero sabi nga ni attorney, walang basihan Natatawa nga siya No? Natatawa nga si attorney doon sa conditions.
Hindi, pero baka may reaction si pastor maganda kung may reaction si pastor.
Basta po, to the extent that it is not covered by lawyer-client privilege, ibibigay ko agad sa inyo.
Yes, sir. Basta it's clear to him that it's for public dissemination ba? Para wala tayong sabit doon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So ano, as far as the House is concerned, hanggang Friday, ano muna?
Hold yung contempt.
In limbo muna. It's ano muna, status quo.
Yes, sir. That is true.
Okay, and then you will still confer among yourselves as lawyers before you confer with your client with your recommendations.
Opo. Doon na po kami mag-uusap po.
Hindi ba kayo kakanta sa liwasan, attorney? Para marinig naman yung inyong magandang boses, ha? Sa karaoke.
Kumanta na po ako roon na gabi.
Kumanta ka na ba? Ano bang kinanta mo? Ha?
Meron kaming kanta roon, yung si Pipi ay komunista. Nagre-rentaging ulit kami roon.
Diretsahan siya to.
Para sa amin, hindi naman crime and rentaging in the same way na yung mga nasa left ay pwede kaming tawaging pasista, pwede rin namin silang tawaging komunista. In the spirit of free expression, di ba?
Okay.
Sumisigaw sila, pasistang diktadura, nagtatawag sila, diktador, pasista, di ba? Ganun lang yun.
Magaling siya, Tony, talaga eh. Attorney, teka, one more, Tony.
Yan, hindi ka pwedeng mag-step into the ring without getting punched.
Without trading punches. Attorney, at the same time, let's ask you for your reaction to VP Sara's statement that Quiboloy is being unfairly targeted. On one hand, of course, it's a statement of support for Pastor Quiboloy. On the other hand, there are those who are saying na baka si VP Sara naman is exposing herself politically to criticisms for taking the cudgels for Pastor Quiboloy.
Wala naman pong contempt dito sa ganitong expression ng inyong pananaw. Being a lawyer, at hindi naman lang po siya nakakapansin. Marami na po nakakapansin na talagang trial by publicity lang po yung ginagawa sa committee ni Senator Risa Ontiveros, with all the due respect to Secretary Ronald. Alam kong mahal niya yan, pero ganun po talaga ang aming pananaw
Sino pa ba mahal natin, attorney?
Attorney, sorry. Lovable naman kasi dito, Ronald.
Ronald, mapagmahal kaming mga tao.
Oo, alam mo na, mahal ako sa'yo, attorney.
Teka.
Ronald sa akin sa bigote.
Baka magsasabihin niya. Baka siguro tayo doon. Tony, ano pang balita po sa House hearing? Anything else you can tell us about what happened there? At least as far as...
Nag-adjourn na po sila. Ang nagulat lang kasi may committee report na pala sila, so they adjourned. And then they will siguro, alam naman po natin ang ang procedure dyan, once you have a committee report, you circulate it among the members of the committee for them to sign.
I think 15 days.
And then i-report out sa plenary.
Panghuli lang, attorney, di ba yung tinatawag nating due process, yun nga yung hearing na dapat sana idaluhan, di ba? Yun yung process di ba? So, wala pa namang violation ng due process o trial by publicity. Paano? Yun nga yung hinihingi ng House, di ba? Yun ang hinihingi ng Senate na humarap at to say his piece. At kung sakali, yun din ang gagawin ng DOJ kung sasampahan siya ng kaso.
And with respect to the Senate po, alam niyo po, sinabi na ng ating Korte Suprema that the Senate is not a court. It is not an investigative agency. It's not the prosecution. But it is a lawmaking body. Therefore, kung ang mga alegasyon ay pertaining to a criminal offense, that is not the forum.
Attorney, let me also bring in our One News editor, Mr. Manny Mogato. Baka meron kang gusto itanong kay Attorney Ferdinand Topacio.
Dito pala si Mogs.
Mogs. Andiyan pa si Mogs.
Nako, wala akong muna itatanong kay Attorney kasi lover boy pa lang tabi mo
kayo talaga.
Natubok ni Attorney. Yung tamang dahilan.
Parang nahawa ka na, Mogs, kay attorney naging purveyor ka na rin ng fake news tsaka disinformation
Ano?
Fake news ba yun?
Ayun tuloy.
Hindi, seriously, no?
Ayun tuloy, nawala na si Tony.
Gusto ko tanong kay Attorney Topacio.
Mogs, pero nawala na si Tony.
Talaga bang ayaw humarap ni Pastor?
Mogs, pero naputol si Tony.
Maraming dahilan.
Nawala na, natakot na yata sa'yo si attorney.
Nawala ba?
Nawala eh.
Nawala. Ay,
Naputol linya.
Pero yung nga, Ronald, sinasabi niya, attorney, girlfriend mo raw.
Hindi, kaya nga sabi ko, yun, disinformation tsaka fake news, no? Pero hindi na natin papatulan, no? Hindi na natin papatulan, no?
Yan.
Ay, makibalik tayo kay Mogs. Mogs, ang ating...
Wala ng issue.
Mogs, si Mogs ang taong bahay natin sa story conference sa mga editors. Si Mogs, anong balita natin dyan?
Ang tawag dyan ng, panghuli na lang, Mogs, ang tawag dyan ng bunso ko, changing the topic, toothpick.
Kayo mga may edad talaga.
From Quiboloy.
Mogs, anong balita? Mogs, nawala audio mo.
Nawala ka, Mogs.
Baka nakamute ka.
Wala pa rin.
Wala talagang audio mo. Mogs.
Wala pa rin, Mogs. Nawala.
Yan.
Mukhang bagong gupit ka, Mogs.
Yung malaki pa rin si Quiboloy kasi nga, pinaimbisigan ni Senator Risa yung tinatawag yung Anti-Money Laundering Council para malaman kung ano ba yung koneksyon ni dating Pangulong Duterte doon sa mga ari-arian na sinasabi na ibinigay daw sa kanya bilang administrator. Kasi may mga usap-usapan na baka ginagamit ni Pangulong Duterte yung religious organization ni Quiboloy para itago yung kanyang mga
Teka, Mogs.
Pero maliban dyan,
Mogs, teka, sorry.
maliban dyan, si
Mogs, nakabalik si Atty. Topacio.
Yes.
I think nakasalang ulit si Atty. Topacio bago gusto mo magtanong. Sir, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Ayun.
My apologies.
Attorney, talaga bang...
But thank you for coming back. Mogs, go ahead.
Ayun. Attorney, talaga bang ayaw ni Pastor humarap o may pag-asang humarap sa Senado at sa Kamara? Kasi ang daming dahilan.
Yes, sir. Malalaman po natin yan once we get to talk to him.
Bukas.
Possibly tomorrow.
Apo.
Pwede nyo kami balitaan, Attorney, kung talagang haharap siya. May kondisyon o wala?
Opo. Sabi ko nga po, to the extent that it is not covered by lawyer-client privilege, I am always willing to answer questions from my friends in media.
Sir, sagarin ko na rin.
Baka naman,
Paki-video
Attorney,
na rin.
na sabihin ni Pastor na yung mga attorney na lang niya haharap.
Parang hindi pwede yon sa House at sa Senate, Mogs.
Hindi ba pwede yun? Kasi yun atang gusto ni Pastor.
Sorry. Sir, are you there? Are you still there?
Yes, apo. Nandito po.
Yeah.
Ayan ba?
Anyway, sir, si Mogs was asking kung anong possibility that Pastor Quiboloy would in the end appear before the House of the Senate. But I think si attorney already answered kanina na nagbago sitwasyon sa Senado at mukhang mas unlikely, tama ba, sir? Mas unlikely magpakita sa Senado kaysa sa House. Tell me if I'm getting this right, sir. Tama ho ba?
Parang magkaiba yung conduct sa House at sa Senate.
Katulad po ng sabi ko, we will have to give him our assessment of the situation, the applicable rights under the facts as presented to him, and then bibigay namin sa kanyang mga options for him to be able to make an informed decision.
Pero nga parang mas unlikely. Well, of course, in the I suppose in the scheme of things, mas malabo yung isa kaysa yung isa. Tama ba, sir?
Pero ano ba ang
naman pwede
isasuggest ni attorney kay Pastor?
Mogs, you were saying?
Ano daw yung advice?
Ano yung sasuggest ni attorney kay Pastor?
Parang lawyer-client relationship yan, Mogs eh.
Ha? Hindi, sabi niya, he will share it to the media.
Attorney, tanong ni Mogs, baka you're free to tell us what you think or what you prefer.
It's the best option. Ano yung best option?
Ano yung i-advise niya?
Oo.
Yun ang tanong ni Mogs.
Bok, sorry, na-drop ulit yung call. Mukhang choppy-choppy yung call.
Ayun.
But to his credit, si attorney naman comes back pag kayanin So,
Ay, tsaka yung sa Senado kanina, parang ayaw ni Senate President Zubiri na pa-aresto pa si Quiboloy dahil gusto niya mag-issue pa ng show cause order si Senator Risa sa hearing, posible ngayon o bukas o sa Lunes.
Ano bang update sa bilang nung hinahabol ni Robin Hood Padilla para ma-quash yung contempt?
Kailangan niya ng 8 boto.
Nadagdagan ba?
Yung deadline is today at
Yes.
8 ang kailangan.
Oo.
Mukhang hanggang 4 na pa ako
Bok, I don't know lang about the show cause order because it's not something I often hear sa Senado. I was reading the rules of the Senate as far as increase in aid of legislation are concerned. Pinasa noong 2010 at ni-revise noong 2012 and 2013. Wala nakalagay ng show cause order nakalagay lang yung the chairman with the seconding of another member can cite
Yes.
in contempt. And that can be overturned by majority vote of the committee. Pero it does not say anything about show cause order, which makes me wonder kung nasaan yung show cause order rule dun sa Senate rules.
Aba, pwedeng nagiging abogado rin itong si Senate President Zubiri.
So yun, that's something that I think we could look at kung are they changing tack, are they changing the rules in the middle of the process? Because it is not in the rules. I've read it several times, yung amended na rules of the Senate as far as increase in aid of legislation are concerned. Nothing at all. In fact, I think I have it here. Ito, the rules.
si Attorney Ed Lingao.
Ito yung Ito yung Senate rules in increase in aid of legislation. Rules of evidence, Section 10. Technical rules of evidence applicable to judicial proceedings which do not affect substantive rights need not be observed by the committee. So yung mga rules of evidence sa judicial proceedings, hindi kailangang
Sa mga
i-observe
korte.
ng committee. They don't have to adopt those rules. Doon sa contempt, Section 18, the chairman with the concurrence of at least one member of the committee may punish or cite in contempt any witness before the committee who disobeys, I'm blocking the way, who disobeys an order of the committee or refuses to be sworn or to testify or to answer a proper question to the committee or any of its members. A majority of all the members of the committee may, however, reverse or modify the aforesaid order of contempt within 7 days, which is today. Yan ang sinasabi natin ngayon na deadline today na balik ta rin.
Deadline.
So today yung deadline sa Senate, sa Friday yung deadline sa House. No? Anong update, Mogs, dun sa kaso ng DOJ na isasampak kay Pastor Quiboloy?
Hindi pa gumagalaw kasi nasa pa yan, Fiscal's Office kumbaga sa DOJ.
I think yung...
Pero Ronald, nagbago na yan. Kasi nung nakarang administrasyon dinismiss ng DOJ yung reklamo kay Pastor Quiboloy. So parang the reverse.
Medyo iba ngayon.
Yung kaso na yan, doon sa rekto ng isang OFW. Yan, may pangalan yan at nagpakilala. So hindi yan anonymous tulad nung sinasabi ni Pastor at ng attorney niya na ayaw humarap at magpakita yung mga nag-aakusa kay Pastor.
May nadagdag ba?
Meron pang isa, tiga-Canada ata, na tumistiko at nagpakita ng mukha. So, hindi totoo na anonymous yung mga nag-aakusa kay Pastor.
Although it bears emphasizing yung sinabi ni Attorney Topacio kanina na as far as he knows, hindi totoo itong 17 conditions. Kasi sabi rin ni Atty. Tapasio, I mean, again, this is Atty. Tapacio's point
Baka
of view.
being sarcastic.
Baka being sarcastic.
Ano medyo katawa-tawa yung 17 conditions.
Kasi for example, yung demand na parking for his private jet and yung all expenses sa 5-star hotel, sabi niya, may sarili namang hangar si Pastor. May sariling hangar. Actually, yun may sariling hangar si Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.
Hindi, pwede kasing may nag-attempt na guluhin yung issue. Simple lang naman yung issue eh. So, posibleng may nanggugulo. Pero yung isang tanong ko, Mogs, ano bang tingin mo yung endgame nitong rally sa Liwasan? Paano? Tumitindi na yung mga sigaw eh. No? At medyo nadadagdagan ng konti. No? Ang tingin mo, saan papunta yan? Meron bang mga nadagdag na mga speak?
Nag-build na ng excuse para lumaki yung rally, mag-build up. At inaasahan nyo dyan, mga warm bodies, ay yung mga taga-suporta at taga-sunod ni Pastor Quiboloy at ng isa pang religious organization. No? So, gusto nila na mag-snowball, lumaki, parang EDSA 2, nagsimula sa kaunti hanggang dumami yung tao dyan sa may EDSA Shrine. No? So, ilang game plan. At ang ko pa sa sa Cebu, sa Davao, para sabihin na lumalakas ang panawagan na wakasan na ang alin.
Walang sinabi si Palelo, wakasan lang daw eh.
Parang comics, di ba? Teka, Bok,
baka nag-i-enjoy si Pangulong Marcos, paano yung biyahe, di ba?
Pero malayo sa EDSA Shrine yan eh. No? Baka mas malapit yan sa EDSA 3 na pumunta ng Malacanang. Naalala mo ba yun? May mga casualties nun, di ba?
Oo.
Makulay na araw yun.
2001.
May mga casualties nun, di ba? Tapos pwede rin natin balikan, no? Kinakausap ko nga si Lord kanina, kung ano yung alam niya tungkol sa Lapi ang Malaya. Naalala mo, 1967?
Yung mga hugot. Teka, Bok, teka, Bok, pause button muna. We need to take a break for a few reminders. We will be right back after these reminders. We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao with Tito Ronald Llamas. So, Bok, andito pa rin tayo.
Tito Ed, and nawala na si Tito Mogs.
Well, let's bring in another Tito. Another story we're watching is the release of filmmaker Jade Castro and 3 of his friends. They were earlier accused of arson. Makakusap po natin ngayong hapon ang isa sa kanilang mga abogado, si Attorney Chel Jokno. Attorney Chel, magandang hapon and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Magandang hapon, Ed. Magandang hapon, Ronald. At hello kay Mogs. Nice to have to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Good afternoon, Attorney Chel. Buti, hindi nyo na kailangan batuin si Attorney Topacio. Wala na siya.
Well, we had an interesting discussion with him. Pero mamaya, balikan natin with Attorney Chel. Attorney Chel, your insights dun sa napag-usapan namin with Attorney Topacio later. Pero let's start off muna with the case of Jade Castro. Yung filmmaker na hinuli among including some of his friends on the allegation of arson ng isang e-jeepney o yung modernized jeepney. And he's been freed already. Yes, sir. Could you run us through exactly what happened dun sa kaso? Gaano katibay ba yung kaso nila at what led to this release?
Ang nakapagpalaya sa kanila ay yung order ng Regional Trial Court of Catanawan, Quezon Province, na nagsasabi na hindi legal ang pagka-aresto sa kanila.
Hindi legal.
What was filed was a motion to quash the information or the charges for the lack of jurisdiction over the person of the accused. Ang ibig nang sabihin nun, in layperson's terms, ay walang valid na basis yung pagka-aresto sa kanila na walang warrant. And for that reason, walang jurisdiction ng court, kaya i-dismiss nila ang kaso.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean, sir, that the arrest was illegal or irregular or anomalous or any of those adjectives? And if that is the case, is there any recourse that has to be done?
Yes, that means that the arrest was unlawful and invalid. Ang sinasabi kasi ng law enforcers natin ay valid daw na hot pursuit arrest yung napagkahuli kay Direct Jade. Pero ang sinabi mismo ni Judge ay hindi po siya papasok sa tinatawag na hot pursuit at hindi po siya legal na pagka-aresto. Kaya sila nakalaya.
Mm. Pero sir, but along those lines, so they were jailed for several days. May isang linggo, di ba?
40 days.
40 days. Isa't kalating buwan.
Mahigit isang buwan.
Mahigit isang buwan. Ganun na lang yun. Dinampot, kinulong isang buwan mahigit, and laya. Ganun na ba yun?
Wala ba silang recourse na magsampa ng reklamo or kaso doon sa mga humuli?
At siyempre may recourse din sila. Pwede sila mag-file ng administrative na kaso o kahit civil suit for damages o baka rin na pwede rin mag-file ng criminal case. But of course, at this time, they're just enjoying their freedom dahil siyempre ibang klaseng trauma yung nadadaanan ng isang tao na nahuli o dito sa kasong to, 4 sila na ang lumalabas ay hindi naman pala legal ang pagkahuli sa kanila.
Mm-hmm. Pero sir, any idea what is the motive behind this? Kasi ang understanding ko sir, dinampot sila for allegedly burning a jeep pero may CCTV naman that they were somewhere else. Kumbaga it was a clear alibi. It was a clear, crystal clear case na merong alibi yung pinagsuspetsahan. So any idea kung ano yung motibo? Bakit silang napagsuspetsahan at silang dinampot?
May magandang nabanggit si Direct Jade kanina sa aming press con. Sabi niya ganun, ang feeling niya, kaya sila na-target ay hindi naman dahil direct siya o dahil member siya ng entertainment industry, kung hindi dahil ordinaryong mamamayan lang siya. At yun yung nakakatakot sa nangyari kay Jade, na ito ay pwede mangyari kahit sino, lalong-lalo na pag sa tingin ng mga law enforcers natin ay ikaw ay ordinaryong tao lang at wala kang access sa media, wala kang access sa mga nasa pwesto. In fact, yun yung isang concern ko sa mga nakikita kong lately na mga kaso, tulad ng mga kaso ni Jade, na ang talagang nagiging dehado palagi ay yung mamamayan natin na wala namang ginagawang masama at ang gusto lang nila ay mabuhay ng maayos at ligtas.
Attorney, bakit tumagal ng 40 days? Bakit hindi 1 week or just a few days? No? Anong naging problema?
Well, yung unang naging problema kasi, kaya rin natagalan yung kaso, ay dahil there was a waiver that was signed by sila directly. Pero ang lumalabas, nung nakausap namin sila after na napirmahan nila yung waiver, ay hindi nila naintindihan. Yung palang ibig sabihin ng pagpirma ng waiver ng Article 125 ay pumapayag na pala sila na magpakulong habang ongoing ang preliminary investigation. At yun yung isang systemic defect sa inquest natin, na maraming nai-inquest yung mga nahuhuli na walang warrant na hindi nila naintindihan na pag sila pala ay pumirma ng waiver, nagpapakulong sila. Okay sa kanila magpakulong habang nililitis pa yung preliminary investigation. This is one thing that I think the Department of Justice can address para naman walang ibang tumulad din sa nangyari kay Jade.
Pero di ba, attorney, kinakailangan yung presence ng abogado para sa mga ganyang pirmahan?
In this particular case, ayon sa kwento nila Jade, dahil wala naman ako noon nung nangyari ito, meron silang nakausap na lawyer pero wala doon sa katanawan yung lawyer. So out of desperation, naghanap sila ng lawyer na available doon. May nakausap sila pero ganun din, hindi rin naipaliwanag yung sinasabi kong waiver. O hindi nila naintindihan at least. I wasn't there, so hindi ko alam yung anong sinabi ng lawyer, pero ang sinabi sa akin nila Jade, hindi nila naunawaan yung ibig sabihin o yung epekto ng pagpirma ng waiver.
Punta tayo sa kwan.
Isa pa. So, sir, I'm trying to understand lang kung I know what you mean kung ordinaryong Pilipino maganyan, it can happen to anybody. But at the same time, I'm also trying to understand kung bakit sila na single out. Would you know if by any chance Direk Castro had ever been, for example, red tagged in the past, if he'd been identified with the opposition groups or critical groups, just to put it bluntly, for them to just identify him as an arson suspect, it's a major thing Di ba?
Parang saan ang galing yung ganong klaseng pagtugis sa kanila.
Baka may hugot yung mga lespo.
As far as I know, hindi naman sila na-red tag dati, sa pagkaalam ko Pero base doon sa mga nakuha namin, kami rin nagtataka kung bakit sila yung naging target. Mukhang it was a very convenient coincidence na 4 ang hinahanap ng pulis. Kasi daw, ang mga witness, ang nakita nila, 4 daw ang nagsunog doon sa modern jeep. So happened na ang grupo nila Jade, 4 din. I don't know kung yun lang ang dahilan. It sounds very parang mababaw masyado, pero wala rin kaming makitang dahilan kung bakit sila yung na-target. Except that they were there at that time and they were looking for 4 men.
Kasi kung sakali nagkasama tayo, ako, ikaw, si Mogs, tsaka si Patrick, baka madamputan tayo.
Yari. Arsonist na. Kaso baka yung isa totoo.
Yun. Sige. Sabi ko, sige.
Yeah. Attorney, dahil kanina, guest namin si Attorney Topacio, ay tinatanong namin yung recourse ni Pastor Quiboloy, Son of God, dito sa House at saka sa Senate na contempt charges sa kanya, no? Dahil ang deadline sa Senate today, ang deadline daw sa House ay sa Friday, no? Kaya ang sinasabi nila, halimbawa, may naglabas ngayon si Vice President Sara Duterte ay trial by publicity, no? Ang sabi naman ng isang columnist sa Manila Times, moot na yung hearing sa Senate dahil inunseal na raw yung mga documents sa US, no? At dapat ang focus ay extradition na. Anong tingin mo ron, attorney, doon sa mga lumalabas na yan?
Kasi attorney, nag-aaral ng law sa US
Well, siyempre, ang iiral dyan, kung pagdating sa Senado, yung rules of the Senate. Pagdating naman sa lower house, yung rules din nila for the conduct of inquiries in aid of legislation. At tama yung nabanggit ni Tito Ed kanina na wala rin ako maalalang show cause order na requirement pagdating sa
Yun,
Senate rules. Yung kasing show cause order, pagka-support tayo hihingi ng contempt, kung indirect contempt yan, ay practice talaga ng court yan, mag-issue ng show cause order doon sa respondent. Pero wala akong naalalang may ganun counterpart provision ang Senate pagdating sa contempt power.
Wala sir, ito I've been reading the Senate rules. Wala akong mana talaga. Pero sir, exactly what is the show cause order in layman's terms?
It's an order directing the respondent to show cause why he or she should not be held in contempt.
Okay.
So kumbaga bibigyan siya ng pagkakataon na magpaliwanag, ma-justify yung ginawa niya para hindi naman siya maparusahan.
But isn't that already in effect what they've been asking Quiboloy to do? To tell us why you don't want to come over. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer.
Mukhang ganun na nangyayari. Pero show cause order kasi official order yan na mismong pirmado ng judge na inilalabas niya.
Sir, ito one more. Sir, Section 10 Rule of Evidence. This is again yung Senate Senate rules it's a Senate rules on increase in aid of legislation. Sa Section 10 ang Rule of Evidence niya, technical rules of evidence applicable to judicial proceedings which do not affect substantive rights need not be observed by the committee. I pointed out because I want to ask you ano ba yung patakaran pagdating sa ebidensya? Kasi ngayon, binabanggit na show cause order eh. Pagdating sa ganito mga desisyon ng committee, what rules apply in a committee vis-a-vis a courtroom? Ano?
Baka Ed, kailangan mong tanongin si Attorney Senate President Mig Subiri.
Attorney ba siya?
Hindi.
Hey, sir, what rules apply or do not apply in a courtroom versus a Senate hearing, a Senate
In aid of
committee?
legislation.
In aid of legislation. If you look at this, for example.
Oo, yung ibig sabihin ng provision na yan, yung Section 10, ay yung mga very strict requirements sa courts natin. Halimbawa, bawal ang hearsay evidence, bawal yung iba't ibang opinion evidence. Marami mga bawal sa court dahil siyempre ang pinag-uusapan dyan na mismo yung kalayaan ng akusado. Kaya mahigpit ang courts natin. Sa Senate naman, iba naman ang purpose nun. Hindi naman nanghuhusga ang mga senador, kundi in aid of legislation. Ibig sabihin ay the rules of evidence are relaxed because the purpose is different. It's not to find guilt or to determine liability. Rather, it's to see what can be done to make the law better or to amend or repeal laws to make sure na makatao siya at makatalunan.
Attorney, kung sakaling tumuloy yung Senado at mag-issue ng arrest warrant, pwede rin bang mag-issue or mag-request ang Senate ng whole departure order?
Yes, as far as I understand, that would be covered by the rules on the issuance of whole departure order.
Okay, so may ganun din. Assuming nandito pa siya, di ba? Anyway. Attorney, one more. Section 19. This one I'm trying to understand It's the privilege against self-incrimination. A witness can invoke his right against self-incrimination only when a question which tends to elicit an answer that will incriminate him is propounded to him. So, I don't know, parang to me, in layman's terms, it simply means na pwede ako hindi sumagot kung sasabit ako sa sagot ko. Tama ba yun? Kung ganun, what's the point of grilling me? Kung pwede ako umiwas dahil sasabit ako sa sagot ko.
Parang theoretically, pwede siya tumahimik buong hearing.
Diba? I'm trying to understand lang paano yung pagbabalansin nun
Ganito yan. Yung the asking of when you're asked a question, if you're appearing as a research person or as a witness in the Senate, you have to answer the question unless it will involve or violate your right against self-incrimination. So, bago ka testigo, hindi ka pwede magsabi na ayoko na maupo, ayoko na maging witness dahil may incriminate ko ang sarili ko. Kailangan hihintayin mo na mismong may specific question that will tend to incriminate you. And that's the only time na pwede mong sabihin na I'm sorry, I cannot answer because it violates my right against self-incrimination. Ngayon, hindi naman basta-basta dapat tatanggapin agad ng Senado yan. Kailangan titingnan din nila, does the question really call for them to incriminate themselves? Kung sa tingin ng committee ng Senate ay totoo nga, ma-incriminate sila, then they will respect that answer. Pero kung sa tingin nila ay hindi naman pag sinagot niya yung tanong, hindi naman niya ma-incriminate ang sarili, they can still direct that person to answer the question. At nangyari na yan na dati sa mga ibang investigator ng Senado.
Pero sir, for example,
kung sakaling mangyari yun na attorney, tapos ayaw pa rin sumagot nung nakaharap sa hearing, anong pwedeng gawin ng Senado? Iko-contempt din siya uli?
Yes, may isang kaso na nangyari noong 1960s pa eh. Yung kaso ng Arnold versus Nazareno at meron pang kasamang mga case yan.
yes sir.
Na ang ginawa, ang witness tinatanong siya, meron siyang tinatanong, ayaw niyang sagutin. Pinakulong muna siya. He was ordered to be detained until willing na niyang sagutin yung tanong. So yun yung isang maaaring maging parusa pag ma-contempt ka ng Senado.
Pero sir, again, question from a layman, but di ba that's why you're being grilled because they want to get answers from you which may actually incriminate you. For example, totoo bang ikaw ang pumatay? I refuse to answer. I invoke my right against self-incrimination.
Pero sabi nga ni attorney, ang magpapasya kasi niyan yung Senado eh. Pwedeng hindi mag-agree yung Senado dun sa pag-invoke mo ng self-incrimination.
Pero sir, well, okay, but that's one way of doing it. In the end, they vote against it.
Pwede siya i-contempt o ipakulong. Kung ipagpapatuloy niya yung ganung excuse.
But I'm trying to understand lang the principle behind the right against self-incrimination. Kasi if you are allowed to avoid a question because it may get you in trouble, then how can we grill people?
Hindi, kaya nga may limits eh. May limit yung self-incrimination. Hindi siya absolute. Di ba, attorney?
Si attorney Ronald Llamas.
At saka ultimately, yung mga dating kaso na in-invoke yung right against self-incrimination, kung hindi magkasundo yung witness o yung lawyer niya at saka yung Senado, malamang aabot sa Supreme Court yan, just like in previous cases. And at the end of the day, ang Supreme Court ang magsasabi kung may basehan ba yung contempt at kung tama ba yung nangyari.
Okay. Sige, pakulan natin. Teka, pahabol na lang. Tony, tingin niyo ba talaga, kailangan bigyan ng 5-star accommodations? sabi ni Attorney Topacio, hindi naman daw talaga totoo yung conditions na yun. As far as he knows. So I leave it at that. Maraming salamat, Attorney Cheljok at Dean Cheljok na wala. Sorry, keep calling Attorney. Dean Cheljok.
Thank you.
At good luck sa iyong programa sa Radio Veritas.
Ay, salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for joining us this afternoon, Tito Ronald Llamas.
Tito Ed.
Kahit walang
Tito Mogs.
Kahit walang apple juice, ikaw ay nagpupunta pa rin. Ito makabigla. So join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.